You're listening to an exclusive production from Valio. Speak with confidence. Find your voice without breaking harmony. Chapter 1. The Silent Struggle. There is a quiet, almost invisible struggle that many of us carry. It's the tension between what we truly feel, what we deeply believe, and what we actually allow ourselves to express. It is the moment when a genuine thought surfaces, ready to be shared, and a sudden, internal alarm goes off, pulling the words back down, leaving a hollow echo in their place. You are not alone in this. So many people walk through their days holding back, editing themselves, and ultimately choosing silence over the possibility of conflict. On the surface, silence seems like the safest option. It's the peace treaty you sign with the world to ensure your environment remains calm. You tell yourself that by not speaking up, you are being the gracious one, the flexible one, the one who keeps the peace. And in the immediate moment this works. The room remains quiet, the relationship feels undisturbed. No one is upset, and the gentle equilibrium you value so highly is maintained. But that immediate peace comes at a profound, long-term cost, the slow erosion of your authenticity. Think of your true self, your inner voice, as a light. Every time you choose silence not because you have nothing to say, but because you fear the reaction, you are dimming that light. You are creating a separation between the person you are on the inside and the persona you present to the outside world. This inner division is the definition of imbalance, and it's exhausting. Why does silence feel safer? It often stems from a deep, innate desire for harmony. You value the smooth flow of interaction. You genuinely dislike friction, discord, or the heavy energy that disagreement brings into a space. For you, a relationship in equilibrium is a thing of beauty, a sanctuary. The fear is that your truth, a difference of opinion, a need, a boundary, will be the sharp edge that breaks that delicate structure. This is a natural human tendency, yet it rests on a foundational misconception, that true harmony means the complete absence of difference. In reality, real, lasting harmony is not achieved through silence and avoidance. It is achieved through integration and balance. A truly beautiful musical chord contains several different notes, not just one repeated note. Those different notes played together create a richness and resonance that a single note cannot achieve on its own. Your relationships are the same way. They need the different notes of your honest self, balanced with the honest notes of the other person, to create a truly rich and resilient connection. When you silence yourself, you are not creating harmony. You are creating an artificial stillness. That unexpressed thought, that unmet need, does not simply vanish. It settles like dust in the corners of your emotional life, building up a quiet resentment or a profound sense of being misunderstood. Eventually, that buildup can lead to a sudden, disproportionate explosion, or more often, a slow, quiet withdrawal from the relationship altogether. This prevents authenticity because it teaches the people around you to fall in love with a carefully managed version of you. They are connecting with the echo, not the source. And if they love the echo, how can they truly love the real person they never get to fully see? This creates a heavy weight on your shoulders, the pressure to constantly maintain the perfect, conflict-avoiding self you've constructed. Consider a simple scenario. A friend is constantly late for your meetings. You value their friendship, but you also value your time. If you say nothing, you protect the immediate, superficial peace. But inside, every time you wait, a piece of your energy is chipped away. You start to dread the meetings, not because of the person, but because of the predictable disrespect of your time. You begin to create distance. This is the insidious nature of the silent struggle. The effort you take to avoid one small, uncomfortable conversation ends up creating a much larger, more damaging imbalance in the relationship. One silence is not neutral. It is an action that prioritizes temporary comfort over true connection. What prevents us from stepping out of this safe silence? Usually, it is a trio of common fears. First, the fear of disapproval or rejection. We worry that if we state a boundary or a differing opinion, we will be seen as difficult, demanding, or uncooperative. The mind equates expressing a truth with severing a bond. Second, the fear of hurting someone else's feelings. You genuinely care about others' emotional comfort. The thought of causing someone distress by simply stating your own need feels fundamentally unkind. You take on the responsibility for their reaction, believing that if they are hurt, it is your fault for speaking. Third, the fear of the unknown outcome. Conflict, even minor disagreement, feels chaotic. We fear the conversation spiraling out of control, leading to a break in the relationship that we won't be able to repair. We prefer the known discomfort of silence to the unpredictable uncertainty of honest conversation. To move toward true balance, we must begin to reframe what balance actually means. Balance is not achieved when both sides are identical. It is achieved when two distinct sides are held in a beautiful, stable tension. In a conversation, this tension is created by holding your truth alongside respect for the other person. When you finally choose to speak, not out of aggression or anger, but out of a calm commitment to your own wholeness, something remarkable happens. You begin to invite reciprocity into your life. You are giving the other person the dignity of responding to the real you. If you are consistently silent, you are also denying the other person the chance to rise to the occasion. You are not giving them the opportunity to hear your truth and show you that they are capable of respecting it. You are judging their potential reaction before they even have a chance to demonstrate their character. The journey away from the silent struggle begins with a simple, profound realization. Your voice is not a threat to harmony. It is an ingredient of it. It is an ingredient that defines your space, your needs, and your perspective, all of which are essential components of a fair and equitable interaction. Think about the scales of justice, the classic image of balance. If you put nothing on one side, that side shoots up, and the whole system tips wildly out of alignment. That empty side represents your voice, your needs, and your truth. When you place those things gently yet firmly onto the scale, the system shifts, but it shifts toward a more just and stable equilibrium. This chapter is your invitation to acknowledge the weight that silence has been placing on you. It is a moment to recognize that the effort you expend to keep the peace through self-negation is far greater than the focused energy needed to speak a clear, kind truth. Remember, authenticity is the foundation of genuine balance. You cannot truly find peace with others until you are fully at peace with yourself. And you cannot be at peace with yourself if you are constantly censoring your true experience of the world. Your goal isn't to start shouting, arguing, or suddenly becoming abrasive. That would simply be replacing one form of imbalance with another. Your goal is to find the center point, the place where the expression of your truth is delivered with an inherent grace, where your honesty is tempered by kindness, and where your boundaries are stated with calm conviction. The silent struggle has kept you safe, but it has also kept you small. It's time to recognize that the greatest act of love, both for yourself and for your relationships, is the commitment to being fully, honestly, and gracefully present. The peace you create by being silent is temporary and fragile. The harmony you build by speaking your truth with respect is lasting and resilient. Take a moment now to reflect on one small area of your life where you have chosen silence over a needed conversation. Visualize yourself stepping into that moment again, but this time, opening your mouth and speaking with a soft but firm clarity. Imagine the words coming out not as a heavy burden, but as a light, clean release. True balance begins when you allow your own weight to be felt. The world needs your unique perspective, and your relationships need the stability that comes from your whole, honest presence. Reflect on this. What is one simple truth or need you have been holding back out of fear of breaking the peace? Resolve to acknowledge that silence has served its time, and that the next step toward a deeper, more beautiful harmony is a gentle, honest word. Chapter 2. Words as bridges, not weapons. If the silent struggle of the previous chapter was about the fear of speaking, this chapter is about the power of the words themselves. When you finally decide to break the unproductive silence, the next challenge emerges. How do you express your truth without creating the very conflict you desperately wanted to avoid? For many, the only model of speaking up they've witnessed or experienced is one of force, loudness, or aggression. We've seen words used as hammers, delivered with the intention to win, to dominate, or to shut down the opposing view. In this model, conversation is a battleground, and the goal is victory, not understanding. It's completely understandable why, if this is your primary reference, you would prefer to remain silent. If the only way to express yourself is by wielding words like weapons, you instinctively back away, choosing grace over what feels like a brutal fight. But we must radically shift this perspective. Words are not inherently weapons. They are, in their highest form, bridges. They are structures built for connection, designed to carry understanding, empathy, and needs across the space between two people. Learning to speak with confidence while maintaining harmony is fundamentally about choosing to build bridges instead of walls. This begins with a deep commitment to the intention behind your communication. Before a single word leaves your mouth, pause and ask yourself, what is the purpose of this statement? Is the purpose to prove you are right? Is it to make the other person feel guilty or wrong? Is it to dominate the flow of the conversation? If any of those are true, you are holding a weapon. Communication driven by the need to win always ends up creating division. If, however, the purpose is to clarify a truth, to share a feeling, to express a need, or to inspire mutual understanding, then you are holding the tools of a builder. You are seeking alignment, not victory. When you shift your intention to connection, your tone, rhythm, and word choice naturally soften and become more inclusive. Think of your words as the material for a connection. You want them to be smooth, supportive, and strong, not jagged, brittle, or sharp. This calls for a practice we can call gracious clarity. Gracious clarity is the skill of being crystal clear about your message while wrapping it in a tone of respect and warmth. It ensures that the person hears your message and is not distracted or defensive because of the delivery. The gentle art of I statements. The quickest way to turn a word into a weapon is to use it to attack or assign blame. This usually begins with the word you. You always interrupt me. Accusation. You make me feel unappreciated. Blame. You never consider my feelings. Judgment. When a person hears you statements, their defensive walls instantly go up and they stop listening to the content of your message. They are now focused only on defending themselves against the perceived attack. The connection is broken. To build bridges, switch to I statements. This simple linguistic shift achieves two powerful things. It owns your emotional experience, and it keeps the focus on your need, not their failure. Instead of saying, "You never consider my feelings," try, "I feel unheard when I am interrupted before I finish my thought. My need is to have a moment to complete my point." Instead of, "You make me feel unappreciated," try, "I feel a sense of low morale when my efforts aren't acknowledged. I would appreciate it if you could share a word of thanks when you notice something I've completed." Notice how the I statement uses feeling and need as the core structure, rather than blame and judgment. This invites the other person into your experience, fostering empathy rather than pushing them away with critique. It is a genuine invitation to connect and solve a problem together, choosing soothing over sharp words. The precise words you select carry tremendous energy. Avoid language that is absolute, definitive, or overly dramatic, as these are inherently divisive and unbalanced. Words like always, never, must, and should shut down dialogue. They imply a fixed, unchangeable reality that leaves no room for gray area or compromise. They create a black and white world where you are right and they are wrong. Instead, opt for gentler, more expansive language that honors the complexity of human behavior. Sometimes, often, occasionally, I suggest or I would prefer. For example, instead of, "You never help with the chores," which is likely an exaggeration and will provoke an argument, try, "I've noticed the burden of the household tasks often falls on me and I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. Could we look at a more balanced schedule?" This revised language opens a door for collaboration, whereas the absolute language slams a fist on the table. The shift acknowledges that the issue is systemic, an imbalance in the schedule, rather than personal, a flaw in their character. The cadence of calmness, the way you deliver your words, is often more important than the words themselves. Your tone, rhythm, and volume are powerful signals that broadcast your underlying intention. If you speak quickly, loudly, or with a rising, anxious pitch, you are communicating emotional instability, signaling danger, and inviting a defensive response. Even the kindest words can sound like an attack if delivered in a harsh tone. To build bridges, cultivate a cadence of calmness. Practice speaking at a measured, steady pace. This not only gives you time to choose your words wisely, but it also conveys authority and composure. People are more likely to trust and listen to someone whose energy feels controlled and centered. Lower your volume slightly from your natural speaking voice. A soft, clear voice forces the listener to lean in, both physically and emotionally, creating a closer, more intimate connection rather than an adversarial confrontation. A quiet confidence always resonates louder than a desperate shout. Remember, your voice is an instrument. You are not aiming for the highest volume. You are aiming for the clearest resonance. That clarity comes from speaking from a place of peace, not panic. The power of validation before expression. A key element of building bridges is showing the other person that you see their side, even if you do not agree with it. This is not conceding. It is validating. Before expressing your own truth, begin with a simple statement that acknowledges their feelings or perspective. This disarms them because it proves that your intention is to understand, not just to preach. I understand why you are feeling stressed about this deadline and I want to support you. Validation. However, I need us to agree on a plan now because my part requires a clear decision. Expression of need. I can see that you are passionate about this solution, and I appreciate your dedication to the project. Validation. My only concern is that it seems to overlook a few details, and I'd like to explore those together. Expression of concern. By leading with validation, you are laying a foundation of respect. You are essentially saying, you matter, and your perspective holds weight. Only after that foundation is set can you safely and gracefully build the structure of your own needs and feelings on top of it. This ensures the conversation feels like a collaborative effort to find mutual alignment, which is the truest definition of harmony. Soothing the response. Another critical element in using words as bridges is learning how to respond gracefully when the other person reacts poorly, defensively, or with unexpected frustration. Even when your words are chosen with the utmost care, you cannot control their emotional response. When their defense mechanisms activate, resist the urge to meet their escalating energy with your own. This is where the bridge building truly proves its strength. Instead of reacting, recenter. Use what is often called the softening phrase, a brief statement that acknowledges the tension without accepting the blame for it. For example, if they snap, "Why are you always complaining about this?" Do not say, "I am not always complaining, you just don't listen." This is a weapon. Instead, try, "I hear that you're feeling frustrated, and I understand this can be a difficult conversation. My purpose in bringing this up is not to criticize, but to find a better solution for both of us." This is a powerful move. It names their emotion, validates their experience of the moment, and immediately redirects the conversation back to your collaborative, non-aggressive intention. It is a quiet, firm act of leadership that steers the interaction back toward harmony, reminding both parties that the goal is the health of the connection, not the destruction of the other person. Learning to use words as bridges is a continuous practice of refining your intention. Every time you open your mouth, you have a choice: to create distance or to create connection. When you speak with gracious clarity, using I statements, avoiding absolutes, maintaining a calm cadence, validating the other, and soothing the inevitable rough patches, you are not sacrificing your truth. You are elevating it. You are showing that you value your truth enough to present it in a way that gives it the best chance of being heard, understood, and respected. This confident, yet compassionate, approach to speaking is the cornerstone of genuine balance in all your interactions. It allows you to protect your inner peace by honoring your own voice, while simultaneously cultivating peaceful, strong connections with others. You are not breaking harmony. You are actively creating a deeper, more resilient one. Reflect on this. Take a moment to think of a difficult conversation you need to have soon. What is the intention you want to lead with? Practice forming one I statement that clearly communicates your need while maintaining gracious clarity. Commit to shifting your focus from proving a point to building a connection. Chapter 3. Confidence rooted in respect. If the previous chapters focused on breaking the silence and choosing the right material for your communication, your words, this chapter focuses on the structure that supports it. Confidence rooted in respect. Many people mistakenly believe that confidence is about being the loudest, the most dominant, or the one with the final, definitive answer. They associate it with a kind of internal aggression, a refusal to yield, or a need to prove superiority. But that kind of confidence is brittle and often alienating. It doesn't build connection, it imposes. True confidence, the kind that aligns perfectly with your desire for harmony, doesn't shout. It stands with grace. It is the calm, steady presence that enters a room, not demanding attention, but simply owning the space it rightfully occupies. This is a confidence rooted not in arrogance, but in self-respect and a corresponding respect for others. When you speak from this foundation, you don't feel the need to push, because you know your place is already secured. You don't feel the need to overpower, because you trust the inherent value of your perspective. The inner posture of confidence. Confidence is less about what you say and more about the internal state from which you speak. It's an inner posture of self-acceptance. For those who prioritize harmony, speaking up can feel like a selfish act, a disruption of the group's smooth flow for one's own gain. This perception must be dismantled. True self-respect understands that your needs and perspectives are legitimate components of the whole, not burdens upon it. When you respect yourself, you accept the full spectrum of your being, including your right to 1. Have needs. Your needs are not secondary or less important than others' needs. They are necessary for your well-being, and expressing them is an act of self-care. 2. Hold a perspective. Your point of view is valid even if it differs from everyone else's. Your unique lens is essential for a complete picture. 3. Draw boundaries. You have the right to define what is acceptable and what is not in your personal space and time. Confidence flows when you no longer feel you have to apologize for these fundamental rights. You speak, not to impose them on others, but simply to state them as facts of your reality. Imagine the scales of justice once more. Confidence rooted in self-respect means ensuring your side of the scale is always balanced with the weight of your truth. It's a quiet commitment that says, I matter just as much as anyone else in this interaction. Speaking up without losing compassion. The defining feature of this graceful confidence is the seamless integration of assertion and compassion. You state your truth firmly, but your tone remains kind. You hold your boundary, but your energy remains open and warm. This dual approach is achieved by always directing your assertive energy toward the issue or the action, never toward the person. When you confuse the two, you lose respect and turn your statement into an attack. You are being selfish by taking that last piece. When you separate the two, you maintain respect and assert your boundary clearly. I feel frustrated when the last piece is taken without asking because I was hoping for it. Can we please check in with each other next time? This distinction is crucial. Compassion means extending grace to the person, while confidence means extending clarity to the situation. A confident, respectful statement operates like this. Acknowledge the other person's good intention, if possible. I know you were trying to speed things up. State your truth, the impact on you. But when you interrupt me like that, I lose my train of thought and it makes me feel flustered. Propose a solution based on mutual respect. For our next meeting, could we agree that when one person is speaking, the other waits for a clear pause before jumping in? This method doesn't seek to shame or diminish the other person. It seeks to find an equitable process moving forward. That search for fairness is the ultimate expression of confident, respectful communication, the power of being present. A speaker who lacks confidence is often mentally wrestling with two things: fear of the past, what happened last time I spoke up, and anxiety about the future, what will they think of me? This internal distraction makes the delivery shaky, hesitant, and unconvincing. Confidence is rooted in the stillness of the present moment. When you are truly present, you are simply responding to what is. You are listening intently, gathering the current information, and responding truthfully without the emotional baggage of past fears or future anxieties clouding your clarity. To cultivate this presence, slow down your breathing. A few deep, slow breaths before speaking grounds your energy and calms the nervous system. This immediately shifts your presence from reactive fear to measured response. Make non-aggressive eye contact. Look at the person you are speaking to. This is a sign of engagement and respect. It shows you are committed to the interaction. It is a quiet declaration. I am here and I am listening to you. Use grounded body language. Unclench your hands, keep your feet flat, and hold your head level. Physical stability translates directly into emotional stability and vocal clarity. Your body language becomes an unspoken assurance that you are not there to flee, fight, or fold. You are simply there. This stillness is your strength. When you are centered and present, your voice takes on a weight and authority that no volume or aggressive posture could ever create. You become the eye of the storm, a place of quiet, compelling focus amid the dynamics of the conversation. Graceful non-negotiables. Sometimes, confidence means holding a non-negotiable boundary with absolute grace. A true non-negotiable is something essential to your well-being, your values, or your commitments. When asserting a non-negotiable, you use minimal language, a clear voice, and you do not over-explain or justify. Over-explaining often sounds like seeking approval or an argument, which undermines the firmness of the boundary. For example, if you cannot attend an evening event due to a prior commitment to rest, the confident and graceful response is not, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I feel terrible, I really should come, but I have this other thing and I'm just so tired." Instead, it is, "Thank you so much for the invitation. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend this time. I appreciate you thinking of me." The refusal is delivered with warmth. "Thank you so much. I appreciate you, but the boundary is firm. I won't be able to attend." There is no opening left for debate because the answer is stated as a simple, respectful truth. This is not coldness. It is clarity. Clarity is the highest form of respect for both your own time and the other person's ability to accept your decision without a lengthy negotiation. The confidence of the softened delivery. A major stumbling block for those seeking harmony is the fear that speaking confidently means being rigid. True confidence is the opposite. It is flexible because it is secure. You can deliver a firm statement, but with a voice that is soft and inviting. Think about the difference between a clenched fist and an open hand. Both are powerful, but the open hand invites connection while setting a boundary through its simple, relaxed presence. To cultivate the softened delivery, practice speaking at the end of your exhale. When you speak after breathing out fully, your voice naturally settles into a lower, more resonant and calmer register. This physical technique creates an immediate sense of gravity and ease in your delivery. Inject vocal warmth. Consciously soften the edges of your words. A slight smile, even when addressing a serious topic, can carry warmth into your voice. Your goal is to sound like an ally, not an adversary. Use pauses. Confident speakers are not afraid of silence. Short, intentional pauses give your words weight, allow the listener time to process, and demonstrate that you are in control of the pace of the conversation. A pause before delivering your main point is an act of quiet power. Confidence rooted in respect understands that you do not need to diminish another person to elevate yourself. You simply state your truth and allow the chips of reality to fall where they may. If a relationship cannot hold the weight of your respectful truth, the imbalance was already there, and your confident voice has simply brought a necessary clarity to the situation. The goal is not to force agreement but to foster mutual acknowledgement. You respectfully acknowledge their truth, and you confidently ensure they acknowledge yours. This creates a fair exchange, a true, resilient balance, and a depth of connection that silence could never achieve. Your grace doesn't come from avoidance. It comes from having the quiet courage to be fully present and completely honest. Reflect on this. Identify one interaction where you felt you had to choose between being respected and being liked. How could you reframe that conversation using a softened delivery and focusing on the issue, not the person, to achieve both clarity and compassion? Chapter 4. Listening as part of speaking. We have established that finding your voice is essential for genuine harmony, and that your words must be used as bridges built with confident respect. Now we turn to a seemingly contradictory truth. Confidence isn't only about your voice, it's also about your ears. For those who value balance, communication is never a solo performance. It is a graceful exchange, a give and take, a careful orchestration where timing and sensitivity are paramount. If you enter a conversation only focused on delivering your lines perfectly, you have missed the entire point of connection. You become a speaker without an audience, talking at the world rather than with it. True communication, the kind that fosters deep understanding and resilient relationships, is a cycle. It flows from listening to reflecting to speaking, and then back to listening again. When you practice active listening, you are not simply waiting for your turn to speak. You are doing the essential preparatory work that makes your eventual spoken contribution relevant, powerful, and harmoniously timed. Listening is the quiet foundation upon which confident self-expression is built. The pause that precedes power. Think about the most stressful conversations you've had. They often devolve into people interrupting each other, escalating their volume, and repeating their point with increasing desperation. This happens because both parties are operating under the assumption that they must defend their side instead of understand the whole. Active listening requires you to intentionally create a pause. This pause is a space of neutrality, a moment where you set aside your internal response, your rebuttal, your defense, your next point, and genuinely focus on absorbing the other person's reality. This pause doesn't signal weakness. It signals respect. It shows the speaker that their words are important enough to be fully considered and that you are seeking fairness in the exchange. In this moment of listening, you are actually gathering vital data. The better you listen, the more clearly you will understand. 1. The core feeling. What is the emotion driving their message? Frustration, fear, sadness, or excitement? 2. The underlying need. What essential need are they trying to express, even if their words are clumsy or aggressive? 3. The key language. Which of their words can you reflect back to them to show that you were truly present? This data allows your eventual response to flow with ease and relevance, making your confidence appear effortless because it is perfectly informed. Listening beyond the words. Active listening is a whole-body process that goes far beyond simply registering syllables. When seeking harmony, you need to listen with 4 layers of awareness. 1. Listen to the words, the content. What is the factual information they are conveying? Take note of the key points and the specific examples they use. 2. Listen to the tone, the emotion. How is the person speaking? Is their voice tight, rushed, steady, or soft? The tone often tells you more about their true state than the words themselves. If the content is calm but the tone is stressed, you know the real issue lies beneath the surface. 3. Listen to the body, the alignment. How does their nonverbal communication match their words? Are they saying, "I'm fine," while avoiding eye contact and holding their arms tightly? Mismatching signals are a major clue that the emotional truth is not being fully articulated. 4. Listen to the silence, the unspoken. What are they not saying? Sometimes the biggest insights are found in what is deliberately left out, or in the words they hesitate over. This tells you where their discomfort or their unresolved needs lie. By listening on all four levels, you gain a deep, three-dimensional understanding. This makes your response more empathetic, meaning it is far less likely to provoke a defensive reaction and break the peace. You're not just responding to the sentence, you're responding to the person. The validation loop, strengthening your presence. The most powerful technique for demonstrating active listening and strengthening the conversational bridge is validation and reflection. This is not agreement. It is the act of mirroring what you heard back to the speaker to confirm understanding. Validation doesn't mean you are signing off on their view. It simply means you are acknowledging that their view exists and you have received it accurately. You can use simple phrases to initiate this loop. So, if I understand correctly, you are feeling upset because. Reflecting the feeling and the cause. It sounds like the main takeaway for you is that we need to. Reflecting the core content. I hear that you feel strongly about this, and I can appreciate why that would be frustrating. Reflecting the emotion. When the speaker confirms, yes, that's exactly right, the connection strengthens. They feel seen, respected, and heard. When a person feels heard, their need to aggressively repeat or defend their point instantly dissipates. Their energy softens, and they become far more receptive to hearing your perspective in return. This is how active listening strengthens your presence. By validating the other person's experience, you create an environment of safety that makes your own expression not just possible, but welcomed. Your voice, when it finally enters the conversation, comes across not as a demand, but as a balanced contribution to a mutually respected dialogue. The flow of conversation. Confidence rooted in listening transforms the conversation from a tug-of-war into a gentle, flowing stream. When you listen, you are not just being passive, you are subtly setting the stage for balance. Consider a difference of opinion. An unconfident speaker might simply withdraw. A weaponizing speaker might interrupt. A confidently listening speaker does this. 1. Listens fully, takes in the other person's perspective entirely using the 4 layers of awareness. 2. Validates. I see why you think that strategy is the best way to move forward given the timeline. 3. Bridges. My perspective, however, focuses more on the long-term sustainability. I wonder if we can find a solution that satisfies both the immediate deadline and the future goal. This approach doesn't dismiss their idea. It honors it by building a bridge between their idea and your contrasting one. You are proposing integration, a higher form of harmony that respects both perspectives equally. By listening actively, you are demonstrating your commitment to fairness. You are showing that you are willing to hold 2 opposing ideas in your mind at once, yours and theirs, and work toward a synthesized solution. This is the essence of balanced, confident communication. It proves that your goal is not my way or your way, but our way. Moving from fear to fascination. If the fear of conflict is what triggers the silent struggle, then the antidote is to switch your inner state from fear to fascination. When you feel tension rising, consciously choose to be fascinated by the other person's perspective. Ask open-ended questions that invite deeper understanding. Tell me more about what led you to that conclusion. Help me understand the most important principle guiding your decision. What do you need most from me right now? These questions are powerful because they require you to relinquish control over the narrative for a moment, and instead, invest in the relationship. They shift the dynamic from opposition to partnership. By asking these questions, you are exhibiting the highest form of confidence, the ability to be curious and open-hearted, even when faced with disagreement. Confidence that includes active listening is ultimately about creating a conversational flow where every voice feels valued. When you listen deeply, your presence becomes grounded, your words become precise, and the resulting conversation flows with the ease that comes from mutual respect. You have shown that you are not just capable of asserting your truth, but also generous enough to truly receive theirs. Reflect on this. In your next conversation, commit to listening to the other person for a full 60 seconds without planning your response. What additional layer of understanding did you gain? Was it in their tone, their body language, or the things they left unspoken? Use that new understanding to inform a more centered and relevant response. Chapter 5. Releasing the fear of disapproval. At the heart of hesitation, underneath the silent struggle, and beneath the fear of using words as weapons, is a familiar and persistent fear, the fear of disapproval. For those who seek harmony, this fear is especially powerful, because our natural inclination is to smooth over rough edges and ensure every interaction ends on a note of agreement and acceptance. When you hold back your honest opinion, censor a true feeling, or avoid setting a crucial boundary, you are often doing so to maintain a single, overriding condition: that you are perceived as cooperative, agreeable, and worthy of continued acceptance. This is a profoundly human desire, but when it dictates your voice, it turns into a heavy chain. It means your authenticity is constantly held hostage by the projected judgment of others. You become a reflection of what you believe others want you to be, rather than a clear expression of who you genuinely are. This is the ultimate imbalance, the illusion of universal acceptance. The first step in releasing the fear of disapproval is confronting a difficult truth. Universal acceptance is an illusion, and seeking it is a futile effort. No matter how kind, fair, or balanced you are, there will always be people who disagree with your choices, misunderstand your intentions, or simply prefer a different way of doing things. To pursue the goal of pleasing everyone is to set yourself up for continuous failure and internal exhaustion. This relentless pursuit of approval is often rooted in a simple but limiting belief that if someone disapproves of your perspective, they disapprove of you as a person. This is where the emotional confusion lies. We must learn to separate the response to our words from the value of our being. When someone frowns at your suggestion, disagrees with your choice, or feels disappointed by your boundary, they are having a reaction to the specific piece of information you presented. They are not issuing a global condemnation of your character. A confident voice understands this separation. They may not like this idea, but they still respect the person who offered it. The energy you spend worrying about disapproval can be repurposed into strengthening your internal sense of worth. When you are secure in your own value, external judgment loses its sting. You shift from asking, "Will they like this?" to simply stating, "This is my truth." Honoring the right to disagree. The fear of disapproval often leads us to avoid any situation that might cause the slightest discomfort for others. But in doing so, we rob others of their own process. When you speak your truth calmly and kindly, you give the other person the dignity of owning their response. A harmonious relationship is one where two people can genuinely disagree, feel the tension of that difference, and still choose to remain connected with respect. Your goal is not to eliminate all tension from the relationship. Your goal is to make the relationship strong enough to hold the tension. Disagreement does not equal disaster. It simply equals difference. When you speak up, allow yourself to release the need to control the outcome. You are responsible for gracious delivery, but you are not responsible for their emotional reaction. Their disappointment, their frustration, or their disagreement belongs to them. This perspective is crucial for maintaining balance. If you take responsibility for their feelings, the scale tips completely out of alignment, and your side becomes empty again. By accepting that your job is simply to offer your truth with kindness, you allow the scale to settle into an equitable position where both people are responsible only for their own emotional experience. The warm and open heart, releasing the fear of disapproval, does not mean becoming cold or indifferent to others' feelings. In fact, it allows you to be even more warm and open-hearted. When you are constantly fighting the fear of disapproval, your energy is tight, contracted, and defensive. You appear fragile and closed off, even if you are trying to be nice. But when you accept that disagreement is inevitable and your worth is non-negotiable, your energy shifts. You become warm and open-hearted because you are no longer using your energy to filter and protect. You can afford to be generous with your attention and kindness, even while holding a firm boundary. Think about expressing a boundary. I cannot take on that extra work this week, but I can definitely help next week. Closed and fearful tone, said with a mumbled voice, hesitant apology, and anxious body language. This invites negotiation and further pressure. Warm and open-hearted tone, said with clear eye contact, a calm voice, and a genuine smile. This conveys respect for them, and respect for your own time, shutting down negotiation gracefully. The warmth shows your care for the person. The clarity shows your care for yourself. Both are necessary ingredients for a truly balanced interaction. You are essentially saying, I value our connection, and because of that, I must honor my own limits so I can show up as my best self. The practice of low-stakes expression. To dismantle this fear, you need practice in low-stakes environments. Start small, where the consequence of disagreement is minimal. These small wins build the muscle of confident, graceful expression. Try practicing in these small ways. 1. Stating a simple preference. When ordering food or choosing a movie, state what you actually want without adding the apologetic phrase, but whatever is fine. Say, I would prefer the window seat, please, or I'd really like to watch the action movie tonight. 2. Using the gentle no for small requests. Decline a minor request for a meeting or favor that you genuinely don't have time for. Use your confident, graceful, non-negotiable phrase. That doesn't work for me, but thank you for asking. 3. Offering a mildly different opinion. In a casual group discussion about a book or a news item, offer a single sentence that gently challenges the consensus. Frame it as curiosity. That's interesting, I see the point, but I also wonder if we're overlooking. These small actions teach your nervous system a powerful lesson. You spoke your truth, and the world did not end. The conversation continued. The relationship held, and your worth remained intact. Each small, honest expression dissolves a piece of the fear of disapproval. The reward for releasing this fear is the profound peace that comes from internal congruence. When you are no longer worried about managing external perception, all your energy is freed up to engage genuinely with the moment. You stop playing a part and start living authentically. Remember, seeking harmony is about creating balance between the self and others. By releasing the fear of disapproval, you put the necessary weight of your authentic self on the scale, making true, beautiful, and resilient harmony possible for the first time. You are not striving to be faultless. You are striving to be whole. Reflect on this. Identify one small, low-stakes situation this week where you typically default to agreement to avoid mild disapproval. Resolve to speak your genuine preference with a clear, warm voice, and consciously release the need to control the other person's reaction. Chapter 6. The balance between assertiveness and grace. The journey from silence to self-expression naturally brings us to the concept of assertiveness. For many who prize harmony, assertiveness is a loaded word. It often conjures images of confrontation, forceful demands, or even aggression, the very energy you seek to avoid. You may feel that to be assertive is to abandon your grace, to sacrifice the smooth flow of connection for the sake of getting your own way. But this is a misunderstanding. Assertiveness doesn't have to mean aggression. It is not about taking something from someone else. It is about clearly and respectfully stating your own truth and defending your own boundaries. Grace, on the other hand, is often mistakenly equated with passivity, allowing others to dictate the terms of an interaction to keep the peace. True grace, however, is a quality of movement and presence. It is the ability to navigate a complex situation with fluidity and poise. The most potent form of self-expression lies in finding the perfect balance between these two forces, assertiveness and grace. This is where you state your truth firmly, while keeping your tone kind and your energy balanced. Defining assertiveness with grace. Imagine the difference between a charging bull and a ballet dancer. Aggression. The bull is forceful, reactive, and damages the environment around it. It is driven by the need to dominate. Passivity, the withdrawing figure, is silent, avoids contact, and sacrifices its own needs. It is driven by the need to avoid conflict. Assertiveness with grace. The dancer moves with intention. Every step is firm, but every turn is fluid. It holds a strong center while interacting harmoniously with the space and the partner. It is driven by the need for equity and self-respect. Assertiveness with grace is the commitment to stand in your power without needing to push anyone else down. It means stating your truth as a simple fact of your reality, delivered through the gentle filter of compassion. The 4 pillars of graceful assertion. To master this balance, focus on 4 key components that ensure your firmness is always wrapped in kindness. Pillar 1, clarity of intention. As we discussed in Chapter 2, your intention sets the tone. Before you assert a boundary or a need, confirm your inner motive. Is it to punish, blame, or win? Or is it to seek fairness and maintain your internal equilibrium? When your intention is genuinely centered on fairness for yourself and the relationship, your language automatically becomes cleaner and less charged. You use I statements, focus on the behavior, and propose a solution, rather than dwelling on the offense. Graceful assertion in action, instead of, you are always late and it's disrespectful. Aggressive and blaming, you shift to, I value our time together and I feel unsettled when we start late. I need us to agree to a new plan to ensure we start on time going forward. Assertive, focused on solution and kind. Pillar 2, the power of the calm tone. The way you say something determines how it is received. Assertiveness is often betrayed by a rising pitch, a quickening pace, or a jump in volume. Aggression hides in the tone even when the words are gentle. Grace demands calmness. Deliver your firm statement in a voice that is low, steady, and measured. A calm tone communicates several powerful messages simultaneously. Composure. You are not speaking out of rage or fear. You are speaking out of a centered commitment. Finality. You are not inviting a negotiation about whether your feeling is valid. You are simply stating a fact. Respect. You are giving the other person a gentle space to receive and process your words without feeling attacked or panicked. The calm tone is the silken wrapping around the steel of your conviction. Pillar 3. The principle of minimal effective dose. Assertive statements should be concise and direct. The balance is lost when you use too many words, which often happens when you feel the need to over-explain or justify your position. Over-explaining leaks energy and signals a lack of confidence, inviting others to debate your boundary. The minimal effective dose is saying exactly what needs to be said and then stopping. This is the quietest, yet most powerful move. If you are canceling a commitment, you don't need a 5-minute narrative of your scheduling conflicts and emotional turmoil. You simply state the boundary and offer a kind closing. I've had to cancel our meeting on Tuesday. I apologize for the change, and I will check in with you next week to reschedule. The firmness lies in the statement of the action, I've had to cancel. The grace lies in the absence of blame and the offer of a future connection. I apologize, check in next week. You respect their time by informing them and respect your own by not debating the necessity of your decision. Pillar 4. Holding the discomfort. The true test of graceful assertiveness is your willingness to hold the momentary discomfort that your truth creates. When you assert a boundary, the other person may respond with disappointment, surprise, or even mild resistance. Your automatic harmony-seeking instinct will be to quickly smooth it over, apologize profusely, or backtrack entirely, to rebalance the scale immediately by abandoning your position. Resist this urge. True balance requires you to let the scales settle naturally. If someone pushes back on your boundary, respond with calm reiteration, not defensiveness. Their push, but I really needed you to do this today, can't you just stay late? Your graceful assertion reiterated, I understand the urgency, and I'm sorry that timing doesn't work out. I can help you first thing tomorrow morning. You neither apologize for your choice nor attack their need. You simply repeat your position with gentle finality, like a steady stream flowing around a rock. You are holding the space for both your reality and theirs to exist simultaneously, without letting their discomfort erode your foundation. The beauty of mutual respect. When you seamlessly weave assertiveness and grace, you achieve a level of communication that is fundamentally attractive. People gravitate toward individuals who are both clear about their needs and kind in their delivery. This balance does two vital things for your relationships. 1. It sets a standard for fair treatment. You are teaching people how to treat you by example. When you treat yourself with respect by asserting your needs, others naturally learn to mirror that respect. 2. It creates deeper trust. People trust those who are clear. When your yes means yes and your no means no, others know exactly where they stand. This consistency is the backbone of reliable, lasting harmony. Assertiveness with grace is the ultimate act of self-honor. It is the moment you commit to yourself, while simultaneously committing to the dignity of the person before you. You are choosing integrity over placation, and in that choice, you finally find the unwavering confidence that creates true, lasting, and beautiful equilibrium in your life. Reflect on this. Identify one boundary you currently struggle to uphold without apology. Write down a 2-sentence statement that asserts that boundary using a calm tone and the minimal effective dose. Practice saying this statement out loud, focusing on your steady, graceful presence. Chapter 7. Conflict without chaos. If you've successfully broken the silence, learned to use words as bridges, anchored your voice in self-respect, and practiced graceful assertiveness, you are ready for the ultimate test of conversational balance. Conflict. Disagreements are inevitable. They are not signs of failure in a relationship, but rather signs of a healthy one, a place where two distinct realities are interacting. If you never experience conflict, it usually means someone is constantly silencing their truth, leading to a profound, quiet imbalance. The goal, then, is not to eliminate disagreement, but to learn how to navigate it with calmness and fairness, ensuring that conflict does not devolve into chaos. Conflict, viewed through the lens of harmony, is simply a necessary process of recalibration. It's the moment the scales are tipping, and both parties must engage honestly to redistribute the weight and find a new, more resilient equilibrium. The shift from reaction to response. The primary factor that turns conflict into chaos is emotional reactivity. When startled or challenged, our primal defenses engage, pushing us toward the aggressive attack, the silent flight, or the frozen defense. These immediate reactions short-circuit our ability to think clearly, speak gracefully, and act fairly. To manage conflict with calm, you must create a sliver of space, a deliberate pause between the stimulus and your reply. This is the shift from reaction to response. When you feel the internal heat rising, the tightening in your chest, the sudden need to defend, the urge to interrupt, use these physical signals as a cue to ground yourself. The 3-second anchor. 1. Stop. Physically stop your body from moving or fidgeting. 2. Breathe. Take one slow, deliberate breath, focusing on the exhale. 3. Acknowledge. Internally acknowledge the feeling. I feel defensive right now, or I feel frustrated. Do not judge the feeling, just observe it. This 3-second anchor prevents the emotional wave from hijacking your communication. It allows you to choose a response that aligns with your highest value, harmony and fairness, rather than a reaction driven by fear. Your physical calm becomes your greatest asset in navigating tension. Tools for fair engagement. Fairness is the central principle of navigating conflict gracefully. It means ensuring that both perspectives are fully heard, respected, and weighed equally. Here are 3 practical tools to maintain fairness and clarity when the stakes are high. Tool 1. The mutual intention statement. Begin the discussion by explicitly stating your shared goal. This immediately reminds both parties that you are working together against a problem, not against each other. I want to talk about the issue, but I need you to know my goal is not to blame you, but to find a way for both of us to feel respected. This is a tough conversation, but I'm committed to finding a solution that feels fair to both of us so we can move forward. By framing the discussion this way, you make the relationship the priority, putting the conflict itself in the secondary, solvable position. It sets a contract for collaboration rather than combat. Tool 2, the fact vs. interpretation check. During conflict, our interpretations of events often feel like facts. This can lead to circular arguments rooted in misunderstanding. A confident and balanced speaker learns to separate the objective facts from the subjective meaning they've assigned to them. When an argument stalls, pause and use this distinction. Fact: I see that the report wasn't submitted by the deadline. Interpretation: my interpretation of that is that you don't prioritize my time. Once you separate the two, you can address the conflict fairly. The fact is the report was late. I interpreted that as a lack of prioritization, and that made me feel hurt. Can you help me understand what actually caused the delay so I can adjust my interpretation? This approach respects the other person's reality and gives them the dignity of explaining their side, allowing the conversation to focus on the objective situation rather than a damaging emotional leap. Tool 3, the circle back validation. When someone is heatedly expressing their point, they often need to feel fully emptied of their frustration before they can listen to you. If you try to jump in too soon, the chaos escalates. Use the circle back validation to create space and show you are listening. 1. Listen and summarize. Let them speak until they naturally pause. Then, concisely summarize their core point and feeling. So, what I'm hearing is that you felt blindsided by the decision, and that frustration is tied to the lack of communication. 2. Confirm and anchor. Wait for them to confirm your understanding. 3. Bridge to your position. Only then do you pivot to your own experience or perspective, linking it back to their point. Thank you for clarifying. My experience was slightly different, and I want to share that with you so we can piece together the full picture. This creates a graceful flow. You respect their need to be heard first, calmness, and then you confidently introduce your own perspective, fairness. You ensure the conversation moves forward with sequential clarity rather than competitive chaos. When to seek space. Navigating conflict gracefully also requires the wisdom to know when to temporarily step away. If the conversation becomes loud, abusive, or if you feel your own calm center is completely dissolving, staying in the room is not an act of harmony. It's an act of emotional harm. A graceful exit is not avoidance. It is a boundary set for the purpose of preservation. It is delivered with clear, non-aggressive language. I am starting to feel overwhelmed, and I want to make sure we resolve this fairly. I need to take a break for 30 minutes to clear my head, and then I want to return and finish this conversation. I don't think we are hearing each other right now. I am stepping away, and I promise to check back in at 6 o'clock this evening. The key to a graceful exit is setting a firm time to return. This communicates that you are committed to the relationship and the resolution fairness, but you are not willing to sacrifice your peace calmness to continue the fight immediately. This pause allows the initial reactive energy to dissipate, ensuring that when you return, you do so with a grounded voice ready to build the bridge again. Conflict is a necessary friction that helps polish the surfaces of a relationship. It is an opportunity to practice your most cherished values, fairness, respect, and clarity under pressure. By approaching conflict with these tools, you transform a destructive moment into a defining one, proving that your voice is strong enough to stand up, and your grace is deep enough to hold the peace. Reflect on this. Think about a time you recently reacted to a conflict with anger or withdrawal. How could using the 3-second anchor have changed your response? Commit to consciously deploying the mutual intention statement at the beginning of your next difficult conversation. Chapter 8. Building confidence through small wins. The journey to speaking with confidence and preserving harmony is not about a single dramatic transformation. It is not a sudden leap into perfect assertiveness. Rather, it is built brick by brick, moment by moment, through the accumulation of small wins. For those who prioritize balance, the thought of a major confrontation or a high-stakes meeting can still trigger the old instinct to retreat into silence. This is natural. Your nervous system needs to be retrained, and the best way to do that is through consistent, low-risk practice that strengthens your self-expression muscle without overwhelming your peace-seeking nature. Confidence grows like a delicate plant. It requires gentle, daily nurturing. Each time you successfully voice a small truth, state a minor preference, or hold a simple boundary, you are depositing trust into your internal confidence bank. This chapter is about identifying those small, daily actions that strengthen your voice and create harmony in your self-expression, proving that your truth can coexist gracefully with the world. The power of micro-declarations. The biggest barrier to confident speaking is the idea that it must be a heavy, serious event. We must lighten the load and focus on micro-declarations, tiny statements of truth that require minimal emotional energy but yield maximum impact on your self-perception. One of the most common ways we undermine our confidence is by apologizing for simply existing or for having a valid need. A small win is replacing an apology with a clear statement of intention. Consider how often you might say, "I'm sorry to bother you, but can I ask a question?" That phrase instantly frames your simple question as an imposition. Instead, simply state your intention. "I have a quick question about this topic." Or instead of starting a necessary conversation with, "I hate to take up your time, but I need to reschedule," try, "I need to reschedule our meeting for Friday." You might find yourself saying, "I'm probably wrong, but I think," before sharing an opinion. Stop that phrase entirely. Replace it with a confident statement of perspective. "I have a different perspective on this." This shift teaches you that your voice has an inherent right to be heard. You are not an inconvenience. You are a participant. By removing the need for permission, the apology, you instantly elevate your own presence and reinforce your personal worth in the interaction. Claiming conversational space gracefully. In group settings, or when conversing with a dominant talker, the subtle skill of claiming your conversational space is a powerful small win. You do not need to interrupt aggressively. You need to introduce yourself gracefully into the flow. This requires using what we call a bridge phrase. These are short, connecting statements that allow you to smoothly transition from listening to speaking. For example, instead of just blurting out your counterpoint, say, "That is a fantastic point, and I would like to build on it." You validate their contribution, and then you assert your right to speak. Another effective bridge is, "I agree with the direction, and I have one suggestion to add." This creates alignment, then introduces your contribution seamlessly. Or you might say, "I want to circle back to what you said earlier about the main topic. My thought on that is." This shows that you were listening deeply, and then it confidently claims the space. These phrases function exactly like the bridges discussed earlier. They ensure continuity and respect, while firmly establishing your right to contribute. Each time you manage to inject a thought into a fast-moving discussion using this method, you score a win for your conversational confidence. The 5-second boundary. Practice setting small, time-bound boundaries in your day. These are not huge, life-altering decisions. They are micro-boundaries that protect your energy and time. The cumulative effect of these small actions profoundly enhances your sense of self-respect. For instance, when a non-urgent email arrives late in the day, instead of compulsively answering, tell yourself, "I will answer this tomorrow morning." This is a boundary against urgency. You are telling your time that it is valuable and your peace is non-negotiable. When a family member or colleague asks for a favor you cannot do, practice the graceful, 2-sentence refusal. Remember that you do not owe a lengthy justification. Use your confident, graceful, non-negotiable phrase. That is not something I can commit to right now, but I hope you find the help you need. The inability to offer a lengthy justification is often where our grace gets lost. By being brief and kind, you preserve both your boundary and the relationship. The ability to say a kind, clear no to a small, inconsequential request is a profound act of self-honor. It is a quiet affirmation that you respect your own limits, which is the bedrock of respectful, confident self-expression. The daily habit of self-acknowledgement, a crucial part of building confidence, is not just the act of speaking, but the act of acknowledging your efforts. Because you are so attuned to harmony, you might often focus more on the outcome, did I achieve perfect peace, than on your courage in speaking up. You must intentionally reverse this focus. After any interaction where you spoke your truth, set a boundary, or offered a different perspective, take a moment for internal self-acknowledgement. First, identify the action. You might think, I told the waiter I needed a clean fork, or I voiced my concern about the project deadline. Second, acknowledge the courage. Where was the fear and how did I push through it? It felt a little scary, but I spoke clearly anyway. Third, celebrate the win. What was the outcome for me? The outcome was neutral, the problem was solved, and I felt relieved because I honored myself. By focusing on the integrity of your action rather than the reaction of others, you decouple your self-worth from external approval. The win is not that they agreed with you, the win is that you honored yourself, creating harmony in your internal world. The true measure of confidence is the harmony you maintain within yourself. When you silence your truth, you create internal friction. When you speak your truth gracefully, you align your inner and outer worlds, resulting in a profound sense of peace. These small daily actions lead to a fundamental shift in your default state. The consistent practice of speaking your truth, even in small ways, replaces the habit of hesitation with the ease of certainty. Unspoken needs, which turn into slow-burning resentment, are replaced with clear, solvable situations. You replace internal chaos with external clarity. The harmony achieved through silence is fragile. It can break at any moment. But the resilient balance built through confident self-expression can absorb difference and tension without fracturing. Building confidence through small wins is the most sustainable path to a harmonious life. It is the patient, compassionate training of your spirit to trust that your voice belongs in the world, and that your strength and your grace can walk hand in hand. Reflect on this. Choose one micro-declaration, stating an intention, using a bridge phrase, or setting a 5-second boundary, and commit to practicing it 3 times today. At the end of the day, intentionally celebrate the integrity of your actions, regardless of the outcome. Chapter 9. Harmony in every conversation. We have traveled a long way from the silent struggle. You now possess the tools to speak your truth, not as a weapon, but as a bridge, anchored in respect and built through small, consistent acts of courage. This chapter brings us to the ultimate realization. Speaking with confidence is not about winning. It's about aligning truth with respect. It is about creating conversations that leave both you and others feeling valued. This is the definition of achieving genuine harmony. The difference between a conversation that feels depleting and one that feels vital lies in your approach to outcome. If you enter a discussion with the goal of winning the argument, you set the stage for division. If you enter with the goal of mutual alignment, you set the stage for true, lasting connection. The principle of non-attachment to outcome. For the harmony seeker, this is perhaps the hardest lesson. When you finally gather the courage to speak your truth, there is a powerful, emotional investment in how that truth will be received. You hope your clarity will lead to immediate agreement, easy resolution, and restored peace. When that does not happen, the effort can feel wasted. Non-attachment to outcome means you release the expectation that the other person must react in a way that is comfortable for you. Your job is simply to contribute your truth gracefully. Once the words are spoken with kindness and clarity, your part is complete. The result belongs to the dynamic between the two people. This release of control is what creates true conversational power. When you are detached from the need for a specific, favorable result, you are no longer speaking from a place of neediness or fear. You are speaking from a place of sovereignty, a balanced, centered awareness that your inherent worth is not dependent on the other person's validation or agreement. When you speak from sovereignty, your voice is calmer, your boundaries are clearer, and you remain poised, even if the other person becomes upset or defensive. You are not striving to fix their feeling. You are striving to be true to your own voice. The architecture of a valued conversation, a conversation that leaves both parties feeling valued, follows a simple, balanced architecture. It ensures that the elements of self-expression and mutual respect are constantly in play. Element 1. Open the dialogue with partnership. Never begin a difficult conversation by launching into your complaint or boundary. Start with a statement that invites partnership and creates a shared, safe space. This reinforces the idea that you are on the same team. Focus on the we. I've noticed a pattern that is starting to affect our work, and I want to talk about it so we can find a better way forward. Focus on the mutual goal. I value our friendship deeply, and I want us to be able to talk about this issue so our connection can remain strong. This upfront investment in the relationship ensures that when you introduce the difficult topic, it is received in the context of care, not accusation. Element 2. Deliver your truth with gracious clarity. This is the central expression of your confidence, built using the tools from previous chapters. 1. Use I statements. Focus on the impact the situation has on your feelings and needs. I feel drained when I am the one always cleaning up after the meetings. 2. State the desired behavior, not the flaw. Tell them clearly what you want to see, rather than what they are doing wrong. I need the responsibility for cleanup to be rotated equally among the team. 3. Maintain a calm cadence. Keep your tone level and measured. Do not rush or raise your voice. The calmness validates your emotional control. Element 3. Pause for reciprocity. This is the most crucial step for achieving balance. Once you have delivered your truth clearly, stop talking. Resist the urge to fill the silence, over-explain, or soften the blow with excessive apology. You have put your weight on the scale. Now you must allow them to put theirs. The pause signals to the other person that it is their turn to process and respond. It honors their right to have a reaction, even if it is one of surprise or discomfort. In this moment of silence, you are demonstrating your highest confidence. You are comfortable holding the space for tension without collapsing into fear. When they respond, fully engage your active listening skills. Chapter 4. Reflect and validate their perspective. I hear that you feel frustrated because you didn't realize that task was part of your role. That makes sense. Element 4. Seek integrated solutions. The final element of a valued conversation is the move toward a resolution that honors both sets of needs. True harmony is not a compromise where both sides grudgingly give up 50%. It is an integration where both sides feel seen and their core needs are met in a new, creative way. Instead of demanding, my way or your way, ask, given my need for clarity and your need for flexibility, what is a creative solution that we can both feel good about? This framing acknowledges the legitimacy of their need and yours. It turns the interaction from a tug-of-war into a collaborative design session. The solution, when discovered together, will be far more resilient because it is mutually owned. The harmony of authenticity. When you commit to aligning truth with respect, your confidence stops being an aggressive force and becomes a beautiful, reliable presence. You are not just communicating your truth. You are creating a harmonious atmosphere. This practice allows you to experience the deepest form of relational peace. The peace that comes from being fully accepted for the whole, honest person that you are. You are no longer performing a version of yourself designed to please others. You are simply showing up as your centered self, trusting that any relationship that is meant to last will be strong enough to hold the weight of your authenticity. Every conversation, from the smallest exchange with a cashier to the most serious discussion with a loved one, is an opportunity to practice this alignment. By treating every interaction as a sacred exchange where both your voice and the other person's voice deserve respect, you gradually transform your entire life into a flowing, balanced expression of grace and truth. This is the confident path to living in continuous harmony. Reflect on this. Identify one current relationship where you often feel depleted after conversations. How could you apply the principle of non-attachment to outcome in your next interaction? Resolve to focus only on delivering your truth with gracious clarity and release the need to control their response. Chapter 10. The Art of Graceful Expression. We have arrived at the final stage of our journey. You have dismantled the chains of silence, mastered the art of building conversational bridges, anchored your confidence in respect, and learned to navigate conflict while preserving your inner calm. This final chapter integrates all these practices, showing you how to ultimately live in the effortless flow of graceful expression, how to voice your truth, honor your needs, and still create beauty, peace, and balance in your relationships. Graceful expression is not a technique you deploy only during difficult conversations. It is a way of being. It is the state where your external voice naturally mirrors your internal harmony. It means that your communication, every word, every pause, every boundary, serves the dual purpose of honoring your authentic self and honoring the dignity of others. Integrating truth and beauty. The essence of graceful expression is the seamless integration of truth and beauty. Truth is the clarity of your needs, the honesty of your feelings, and the firmness of your boundaries. It is the solid, non-negotiable weight on your side of the scale. Beauty is the manner in which you deliver that truth, the kindness of your tone, the composure of your cadence, and the compassion of your intention. It is the aesthetic of the interaction. When you try to express your truth without beauty, you risk becoming aggressive, defensive, or harsh, breaking the harmony you cherish. When you pursue beauty without truth, you risk becoming passive, sacrificing your needs for a superficial peace. Graceful expression is the commitment to never sacrificing one for the other. Think of a carefully composed poem. The poet chooses every word for its precise meaning, truth, but they also arrange those words with rhythm, sound, and feeling beauty. The impact comes from the fusion of both. Your conversations are the same. They are most effective and most resonant when your clear message is delivered with conscious consideration for the emotional experience of the listener. The daily practice of alignment. To live in graceful expression, make these 3 internal checks a non-negotiable part of your daily rhythm. 1. The integrity check. Before any significant exchange, ask yourself, is what I am about to say honest to my reality? This ensures you are speaking from your core truth, not from a place of fear or manipulation. If the answer is no, pause and refine your message until it feels authentic. 2. The kindness check. Simultaneously ask, is the way I am about to say this kind to the listener? This is not asking if it will make them happy, but if the delivery, the tone, the language, the timing is delivered with respect and compassion. If the answer is no, refine your delivery to be gentler and more validating. 3. The balance check. After the conversation, reflect. Did I honor my truth and did I give space for their truth? If you find you were silent, acknowledge the imbalance. If you find you dominated, acknowledge the imbalance. The next time, consciously seek to correct the flow. This 3-part check, integrity, kindness, and balance, becomes the quiet internal GPS that constantly guides you toward the sweet spot of graceful expression. The freedom of fluidity. True balance is not static. It is fluid. It's the constant, subtle adjustment you make as new information or new energies enter your space. A master of graceful expression knows when to lean into assertion and when to lean into silence. Sometimes the most graceful expression of your truth is a deliberate, composed silence, employed not out of fear but out of respect for the moment. If a person is in a state of high emotional distress, trying to force your perspective into their chaos is not graceful, it is aggressive. The confident response is often to listen actively, Chapter 4, and hold a supportive, quiet presence until their emotional energy subsides. Your truth in this moment is simply, I am here, and I am listening. Conversely, there are moments when grace requires you to be instantly and powerfully assertive. If a core value is being violated or a serious boundary crossed, waiting for the perfect time is a failure of integrity. In these moments, grace is speed and clarity. You speak immediately, calmly, and concisely, halting the negative dynamic before it escalates. The ability to fluidly shift between supportive listening, gentle assertion, and firm boundary setting is the hallmark of a confident speaker. It proves you are not following a rigid script, but rather responding truthfully and elegantly to the living, breathing interaction before you, cultivating lasting peace. The ultimate reward of mastering graceful expression is the achievement of profound, lasting peace. This peace is not the result of perfect circumstances. It is the result of perfect alignment between your inner world and your outer behavior. When you consistently speak your truth with grace. 1. You stop accumulating resentment. Needs are expressed and met in real time, preventing the buildup of silent frustration and internal discord. Your mind remains clear and uncluttered. 2. Your relationships become stronger. The people who stay in your life are the ones who genuinely respect the whole, honest version of you, creating connections that are deep, reliable, and authentic. 3. Your energy is preserved. You are no longer wasting energy on emotional editing, filtering, or justifying your existence. That freed energy is then available for creation, joy, and presence. To live with graceful expression is to embrace the life you were meant to lead, one where your voice is a force for good, a creator of harmony, and an unwavering expression of your confident, balanced self. It is the art of honoring yourself and the world simultaneously. You are now equipped to step forward, knowing that when you speak, you are not breaking anything. You are beautifully and confidently completing the picture. Reflect on this. Going forward, commit to integrating the 3 internal checks, integrity, kindness, and balance, into your daily interactions. Trust that your truth, delivered with grace, is the highest contribution you can make to any relationship. Your voice is the music of your balanced soul. Let it resonate clearly and beautifully.